She was very insecure in the beginning with me.
Because
I bet you there are a lot of freaks out there that would be very excited to know that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about that virilization issue briefly. So one of the things that one of the questions you got asked on your Instagram was, were there any permanent side effects to your experience personally, and what things would you have done different if you could go back?
Yeah, I do like that question. So when my first cycle ever, I don't know if it was what I was taking, if it wasn't Primo and it was test, but my voice dropped immediately. Like I sounded like I had a cold all the time. And my mom was like, or people would just be like, oh, do you have a cold? Because I sounded really just nasally. And I think that was when my, vocal cords were thickening or changing. And I noticed clit sensitivity pretty soon after.
Oh, so it gets sensitive before it grows?
I think that's basically it growing. I think you get all this blood flow and it gets sensitive. And I still have sensitivity now, but it was just, I think all the blood that also was like back then when my sex drive was so high, you get like so much blood flow that you're just like, you just feel horny all the time. I hate using that word, but wait,
can we take a caveat here? Do you think women ever get like addicted to that feeling of sex drive? Is that one?
Oh yeah, because it's
we've talked
stuff feels like stuff feels better. You're more in the mood. It's like taking, I guess, like a guy taking a dick pill or something to increase their mood, and you're in this. I don't know. Yeah, it just may feel more fun and feel better. And you're just, I don't know. So I could see why girls,
they definitely get addicted to it, Leo, because I've asked girls, why are you on testosterone? I've straight out asked them, and they said they love the high sex drive.
Yeah.
Ariella, how does it compare to like using GH? Did you ever get like a little bit of a sex drive boost when you used GHB?
You only used it once.
Yeah, you didn't notice it maybe?
Once, and I don't think I got it. Nothing increased my sex drive like taking Test Pro back in 2011.
So test more than any other compound, because that was one of the questions too.
No, my sex drive was higher on like NPP and like it was higher, but not as high as when I was taking Test Pro, because I told Boston, I was like, one day I had to watch porn and touch myself 4 times. I had to. It was almost like routine in the morning, like before I left for work, before bed. And then if I had time, sometimes I would lock the door at work and go in the bathroom because like I felt like I had to.
Guys like this, yeah.
It was like insane. And then I felt like a guy. I'm like, oh, this is how guys feel like when they just want to like fuck everything, because my sex drive was so high, my standards were lowering.
Yeah, she said when she was on test,
standards were lowering. Things were getting.
It was insane. I remember being like, what's going on? Because you're so horny. You're just like, oh, like, okay, like that guy's not so bad. But then like, it was terrible. I think back and I just laugh now, but my sex drive was never as high as it was then. It's always going to be like higher, like in my off season when I was on NPP, it's higher, but it was never as high as when I was on.
But I cut you off. He was asking if there were any permanent side effects, and then what would you?
Oh yeah, so
sorry for that.
I would say probably
the clit growth.
The clit growth.
Because your voice is remarkably normal. I mean,
oh, is it?
I would never be able to tell. And I'm being honest, I would never be able to tell.
Okay. Sometimes I feel like I have like a naturally deeper voice. I haven't taken anything since 2016. So like,
so it's been 7 years or no, 6 years,
like 6.5 years. So it's been a while. But my voice for sure was deeper. I did like my hair was, I have so much hair. Like my hair is really thick that even when my hair was falling out, because my hair was falling out on the DHT drugs back then, like clumps of it. But I have so much hair, you couldn't really tell. But I would say my hair quality definitely like.
Did it get frizzier or the hair strands thinner?
Dry right here. It was just like if I put my hair up, it just, and I see girls that have that now. But thankfully, my hair is really healthy now.
By the way, that happens to guys as they go bald too. The hair texture changes; it gets frizzier and thinner. I know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's terrible.
Which compound made you lose the most hair? You said the DHT ones, more than Test, more than NPP.
No, I think it was Mastron.
Oh yeah, Mastron. So Mastron and like Winstrol and stuff like that.
I think this was. I want to say this is when I was on the. It's hard to say because there's so much stuff in the mix, but I think this is when I was on that blend of stuff. I was never on trend solely, but like in this blend. So maybe like per cc, there was 50, I don't know, 50 megs of trend.
There's probably 50 pro. 50,
yeah. So maybe 150 meg per, I don't remember. So I'd say around this time and I asked that coach, I was like, hey, I'm like losing a lot of my hair. And he was like, "Oh, it's the GH." And I was like,
the guy was an idiot.
This guy. There should be a wanted poster with his face on it. This is horrible.
That's the same guy that told her Anavar will make her manly. But
why do we name everybody and not this guy? This guy should be destroyed. This is really horrible. I hope he learned his lesson. That's crazy. He literally tells you the opposite of the truth.
Yes.
The opposite. You say, is it this or this? He says, that one for sure. It's not.
So in 2013, when we came out with that steroid video, I basically brought up that coach and I was like, hey, if you have a coach that's telling you this shit or that's putting you on testosterone, like, no, you know? So I think that's why a lot of females were emailing me because they're like, oh my God, my coach has me on this. My boyfriend has me on this. And then, like, I didn't realize how common it was. So I think that's why that video did so well, is because nobody was talking about it. And then all these girls are like, oh, wait a minute. Like, my boyfriend has me on this, or my coach put me on testosterone and DECA and all this crap.
Well, you know, Ariella, I wish people would send in more questions when they watch this one, and we could maybe do this more often, because I looked at the questions. We have so many and they're really good, but there were a lot of gaps. Like, for example, nobody asked which hormone caused the most hair loss or which one. But anyway, back to the permanent side effects. You were saying that the clit growth was a little bit permanent. Did it regress? I'm just curious. Did it regress at all?
I think
a little bit.
Boston.
We looked at pictures a little bit.
I had like videos that I made for him, and I'm like looking at him, and I'm like, okay, maybe it was more swollen back then.
Yeah, probably more swollen.
Probably more swollen. It definitely shrunk over time. It's kind of hard because when you see yourself every day, you don't really notice until maybe years later. You're like, oh shit, maybe it was like more swollen. That is one side effect. Being with Boston, I didn't mind because I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable with him. It doesn't matter. When I was single, I was really insecure about it, because if you're not dating a bodybuilder, or even if you are dating a bodybuilder, what if they don't know about clit growth and they're like, what the fuck? Like, your clit's
She was
massive.
very insecure in the beginning with me.
Because
I bet you there are a lot of freaks out there that would be very excited to know that.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I'm one of those freaks.
Yeah, as long as it's not like a gender change or anything, people are down. People are down. Yeah.
Well, Leo, this was like before I met him, 2011, 12, 13. Now there's like memes about clits and fitness chicks and all this stuff. Like, people are joking about it now, and it's funny. And a girl will even say, oh yeah, like, you know, joke about it. But back then, like, you didn't joke about that. Like, it was embarrassing if you're like, oh yeah, my clit's bigger. It was like embarrassing, you know, and you kind of don't want to talk about it as much then. Now it's more commonly accepted, which I'm glad for the sake of females who may be insecure. It's nice that now it's like more laid back, and, you know, hopefully they can find a bodybuilder guy that understands that's just kind of like the nature of it. And no matter what, I think it's going to for sure grow. So that's one side effect that I think I got, and then maybe it didn't, you know, maybe it receded. It got
and
smaller.
I don't even know why any guy would even mind that, because it's so much easier to find and everything.
It's clearly better for all parties involved, really. Yeah, that's a good thing. It would be great if one could isolate that and just get that a side effect. So what would you have changed, Ariella, if you could go back? I mean, other than that abuse in the beginning when you didn't know what you were doing, basically. I mean,
yeah. Aside from that first part, I would definitely have taken my off seasons more seriously. I always would cycle on and off, though. I never ran for months straight. I would usually run for like 12 weeks and then come off for like, even if it was like 3 to 4 weeks, and then just get back on. So I always did that right. But I think I wish I utilized taking stuff and training really hard and just getting the most out of it in off season. Cause I'd say that's probably the only thing, is just maybe not utilizing it the most when I was taking stuff.